My name is Tonya Curry, and this is this week's Acumen Media Report. It's entitled Child Carnage and Coalition Collision. She is only 7 years old, and we have established that she was raped repeatedly. The child told us that the principal did this to her. Jaco is his name. When this hit the media, Jaco was refusing to hand over his DNA, and AfriForum was representing him. Justice for Kwekwe. Last week I told you that Hugo Ferreira was convicted of raping and killing his 8-day-old baby girl. Today, it makes me marginally happy to tell you that Ferreira got 2 life sentences, and I hope he experiences the full penitentiary silver service. No one has spoken about that story, from beginning to end. It's been a strapline at best on a news bulletin. I'm Tonya Curry. Join me as we scratch the surface of the media that you endured during this week. I have a slightly different take on the Kwekwe case. When you do my job, you look for anomalies and oddities. And in this instance, there's a whole bouquet. Do you know that Kwekwe was actually raped in October 2024? AfriForum officially came out to say that they were defending Jaco on the 31st of March this year. That was this week. The universities have been protesting at Fees Must Fall volume from the 1st of April. Isn't that strange? Where were the protests in October? November, December, January. As so the spokesperson from the police let slip that the medical records were only collected on the 2nd of April. These crucial documents led us to learn that Kwekwe was indeed raped, not once, but repeatedly. Eventually, Peterson did finally hand over his DNA, and now we wait. Eventually, we'll get an answer, but according to Barry Bateman, the official spokesperson of the AfriForum, and my biggest journalistic disappointment, I have to say, AfriForum will walk away from the case if they find that their client is involved.
If evidence is produced to show that the principal is a suspect, our office walks away. We are an office of prosecutors. We do not defend people accused of crimes.
If a 7-year-old was hurt in any way, and they said you did it, and you didn't do it, you didn't do it so much that you were in a building 2 kilometers away. That's how much you didn't do it. Wouldn't you put the swab into your own mouth and jiggle it around and give it to the cops yourself? I would. This right here is a hornet's nest. During this week, I saw at least 3 more cases of child fatality or rape by the hands of educators. This right here is a very big story. And that hornet's nest, we're going to feel the wrath of our land when the stings come home to burn. Kwekwe is the biggest story by a mile. 500,000 across the world, 250,000 in South Africa, 1.1 million engagements. It's massive. It's not the only child abuse story, though. We should have our rage dial turned up for the Omatosa trial. Omatosa, the rapist and child trafficker, was acquitted this week. We've been waiting for this verdict for 8 years. Some of those girls are young women now, and Luto, nothing. He was deported to Nigeria, and that was that. Sure, we had Shamila Botoy from the NPA come out and say how she wants to read the file, but no university protests. 8 years, 32 counts of rape and trafficking, and we paid for him to fly back home. If we're talking about child carnage, then I have to include Jocelyn Smith, because she is why we are finally waking up to the massacre of our children. I was glued to my phone as Gayton McKenzie went live to talk about the Jocelyn case. The content was riveting, and Gayton is certainly very brave. He told us that Ayanda is considered a local businessman by the government and even received funding for his car wash, which is not so much a car wash as it is a drug and child trafficking channel that is very close to a large port.
This man got equipment to start a car wash. On what basis? This man, that place is not zoned for a car wash, but he's using that place. It's not zoned for a car wash. This man is a drug dealer.
He told us that Saldanha is deliberately kept in poverty by shipping the drugs in and shipping the kids out. He blew the lid off with napalm. He asked why he hadn't been called as a witness in the Jocelyn case. He said that he'd spent days in Saldanha without sleep and he eventually found a proper lead. Someone who had done prison time and understood exactly who Gayton is, because you know there's this honor and hierarchy amongst thieves, and Gayton is certainly top of the food chain. This informant pointed out the quite obvious link between the case and Ayanda. No trouble to Gayton, and this is why I like the guy. He found Ayanda, invited him into his car, bought him a bunch of sweets, and took him straight to the police station. Apparently, during the police visit, Gayton even gave Ayanda a cigarette when he asked for it. All sounds very cordial, doesn't it? The cops, however, have a docket ready to charge Gayton with kidnapping. I don't make this up. I read the news, so you don't have to. The biggest takeout of this explosive content was this question: how many Jocelyn's are there? How many? Back to the Jocelyn trial, the judge was furious. He said he would not be cyberbullied, and he also told us that Ayanda was not on the roll during the trial and that should be rectified immediately.
Some of the conduct by individuals are, to say the least, deliberate. I believe there are also indications of people spreading stories, including that myself was part of the disappearance of Jocelyn. Maybe it's just a sign of the times we live in, that people can steep so low.
Worked, eh? The next day, Kelly was sick, so sick that she did a very slow walk in the court. Judge Nathan Erasmus sent her to hospital but continued without skipping a beat. Love him. We heard of alleged police brutality and flawed testimonies from SAPS. The judge caught a couple of cops this week, but for the most part, it will probably rule in the cops' favour as the trial within a trial draws to a close in the Justice for Jocelyn campaign. Back to politics. Did you watch the budget vote? That was a historic moment for South Africa, with the DA and the Freedom Front Plus joining forces with the MK and the EFF. Now that's got to go down in history, guys.
Honourable members, the outcome of the division is as follows. There were no abstentions, 182 voted against, and 194 voted in favour. Order, honourable members.
Action SA became the kingmaker. An ex-DA member, now Action SA member, Athol Trollip, gave the DA a real tongue lashing. He said that the DA never once consulted with Action SA about this budget vote. I believe him. He said they approached Action SA approached the DA, and they were rude, dismissive, and abrasive. I believe him. This is why the DA is failing even more than the ANC is failing. It's all about working together, chaps. What bit of that didn't you understand? Can you get that into your thick heads? Anyway, the budget was passed, so our VAT will go up by 0.5% in May. And here's the thing, on the 1st of May, all companies will put up the VAT and will pay SARS as much money as they demand, and it'll be seamless. Because SARS works. It can work in my country. It can. It's the prize that's got to be big enough. Athol said it straight. When he saw that the DA was taking the budget to court, he said the DA are eunuchs, only they can't see it.
On the DA's legal action, they're well within their rights to pursue legal action. We encourage them, in fact, to do that. We believe in the separation of powers. It's entirely up to them. What must be noted about the DA is that Action SA made genuine efforts to engage them on the budget.
Coalition collision. Crazy times. Right, let's try and wrap up South Africa. Trump has offered a refugee camp in Pretoria for Afrikaners suffering from white genocide or white victimhood. About 60 out of the 67,000 applicants, which was later redacted saying there was actually only 1,000, out of those, only 100 have officially been lodged with the US Embassy. Genocide indeed. Did Trump say anything about our children? Any shelters for them? I mean, if he's so interested, someone tell him that South Africans are doing bad things to their children. The King had a leaked voice note which wasn't flattering. Steve Hofmeyr wants the K-word back. I wonder if he's at the embassy. I'd really contribute to his ticket.
Ek soek blackface terug. Die reg om my gesig te verf enige donderse kleur wat ek wil. Ek soek die K-woord en die N-woord en die S en die P-woord terug. En elke ander woord wat geskraap is uit my tradisionele woordeskat. Ek soek dit terug. Ek soek kulturele appropriation terug om te eet en te dra wat ek wil. En ek soek beledigings terug. Ek soek humor terug by die hande en liedjies en vla terug. Wat ek nie van ander mense weggevat het nie. Is daar so 'n vrye plek in die nabye toekoms wat op ons wag?
And then Rassie is going to Wales. We're generally miserable as the school break starts and it's cold. Winter is nipping at our heels and it may be cold, but it's not as cold as the penguins at McDonald Island, who are the sole residents and are subject to Trump's tariff hikes. I love that story. Oh, Thumper, he made a meal of it, didn't he? He called it Liberation Day. This is as he tanked his and other economies across the world. I was loving Trump's agenda. The rand was flying. My international bills had never been so cheap. It was crazy. But that's over now. I've given him little attention this week. I saw that Elon is going back to his day job. This was after he wore a cheese hat and gave out checks for people's votes in Wisconsin. And he still lost. He was also crying about the Tesla demonstrations, and he really couldn't understand why people were so nasty. Strange thing, narcissists, aren't they? They can never recognize their own failures. I watched Cory Brooker whine about Trump for 25 hours straight. He did not sit, he did not eat, he did not even go to the bathroom in 25 hours, and he never once mentioned Palestine. We saw another senator actually quote Goebbels. For real. I'm not making this up.
I'm going to leave you, and I'll yield back a little bit of my time. A direct quote from Joseph Goebbels. It is the absolute right of the state to supervise the formation of public opinion, and I think that may be what we're discussing here, and yield back.
I watched that documentary, The BB Files, this week. Wow. If you thought Netanyahu was a piece of work, you should check out his missus. Unbelievable. The documentary explains why Ben Gvir and Smotrich are so critical in Netanyahu's plan to keep himself out of jail. Just after I'd watched this, Smotrich left. And the day before yesterday, we saw demonstrations spring up in Tel Aviv as settlers stormed Bibi's house. Is the emperor finally naked? Maybe. But in the meantime, Netanyahu tore into Syria as if it were the new Gaza. He has plans for the greater Israel, pushed through the borders as he strikes into Lebanon too. He has those borders where there is no Hamas and no hostages. And where are my Arab brethren? I'll tell you, shall I? Firstly, Saudi can spot the moon in a lunar eclipse, but they can't spot a genocide in Palestine. So there's that. They are hosting trumpets and they are giving chunks of cash to the USA that will be rinsed and sent back to kill their Muslim brothers. It's revolting. I'm angrier at the Arab world than I am at the Israelis. And that's saying something. Free Palestine. I read that Iran was told not to panic, even though Trump had threatened them almost every single day.
He wanted to use intermediaries. I don't think that's necessarily true anymore. I think they're concerned. I think they feel vulnerable, and I don't want them to feel that way. And I think they want to meet Iran. They're talking about Iran.
The Netherlands are moving tank upon tank. Where to? It's not public knowledge. We only have social media footage of the tanks to show us this. Crazy. The Danes told Trump they'd work with him. That was funny. There was no need to threaten them about Greenland. They'll just work with him. I think the word is pupbang. There was a massive earthquake in Thailand and Myanmar. And we witnessed the destruction across Bangkok and Myanmar. Bangkok is not even near the epicenter. The destruction in Bangkok was horrific. I have friends over there, and every one of them have got stories that'll make your eyes big. I believe I've wrapped up the week, apart from Batman dying.
You see, I'm both Bruce Wayne and Batman. Not because I have to be. Now, because I choose to be.
Val Kilmer left us with an enviable videography. I'm back in the water. I kissed a bass for E2025, and I'm going to rekindle my romance this weekend. I'm Tonya Curry. Thank you for scratching the surface with me and Acumen Media.